Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing? Welcome to Transgurus. I have been very, very busy lately with my business, so we missed one. But I'm here, back here, actually traveling and doing Transgurus, which is really a great, great thing. I really had to tell my people, sorry, it's Transgurus priority, not the. So I'm here, and thank you for listening to us. Our viewership has become so incredibly big in the last weeks. Thank you very, very much for watching, and please do not hesitate to contact us if you've got any questions or any kind of ideas. Okay. So today's theme, it's called finding the inner strength. And believe me, this is something not for only for transgender people, but transgender people are very highly affected, mainly these days. But finding the inner strength. So, who wants to go first, my beautiful friends? Oh, you want to go first, Bobby?
Okay, thank you. Um,
Bobby's like,
yeah,
okay.
well, it's so interesting that we should talk about this, and you're right. The kind of inner strength that transgender people have to find to, go out and be happy with their lives is a little bit different from the inner strength that, say, an athlete has to find to keep competing at higher and higher levels, or a business person that is trying to start a business on a shoestring, or somebody who's running for political office and they've never had political office before. And so I was, I think about uh, so many situations. This is really hard where people need to find inner strength, um, and we have a lot in common, but we also have a few things that are very unique to us too. And one of the things that uh, I always am sure to tell trans people is that I don't feel like I should ever tell another trans person what to do with their lives, because each one of us exists in a minefield. I call it, we each live in our own unique minefield. And when we think about transitioning and and getting rid of that facade and stepping into our authenticity and all of those sorts of things, we all have such different backgrounds. Some of us may have marriages. Some of us may be, still in our teens. Some of us may be in our 20s. Some of us may be on the other side of the world. Some of us may live in safe neighborhoods. Some of us may live in very dangerous neighborhoods. And so um, we might have children, no children, and on and on and on. And so when I think about it, that idea of existing in a minefield kind of appeals to me, because you have this landscape that you want to be a part of, but you have to be very intentional. And so the only thing I'll ever tell anybody to do is get the most competent counseling that you can afford, because I know I've mentioned that I've transitioned late in life, and I had a marriage. I have four children um, that that were getting older, and grandchildren. I had really a lot of visibility and status in my community. I was working two full-time jobs. Um, I had a very non-supportive spouse, and and I was determined to to transition and bring as many people along with me as I could. I wanted to bring my spouse. I wanted to bring all my kids. I wanted to bring their spouses. I wanted to bring all my grandchildren. I wanted to bring everybody I worked with. And so I needed a lot of counseling to do that. And so uh, finding a competent counselor, oh my gosh, that can be really, really hard in a lot of communities. And so that's kind of the first thing to do. And then the only other thing I want to add right now is that I was talking to a group of people once about my journey, and one of the people there said, "What was the hardest thing for you to do in transition?" And instantly, as soon as they asked that question, I instantly flashed back to the first thing I ever did, which was the day I decided to get my ears pierced. I was still living in male mode and all this stuff. And it was like, okay, what's the first thing we're going to do to take this step down the pathway to transition? It's like, okay, I got to get my ears pierced. I'm going to go to the mall and I'm going to find some teenage girl at Claire's boutique. And I'm going to ask her to pierce my ears. And that the day I decided to do that, that was the hardest thing I'd ever done. And, just to breathe deep and all that stuff and work up the courage to go in there and get it done. And so that was a thing I learned. Whenever you take a step, every step I took was the hardest thing that I'd ever done at that point. And so, but until I had moved through that barrier of getting the teenager at Claire's boutique to pierce my ears, well, the harder thing was to find somebody to do electrolysis and start making phone calls and go see. And so there's a lot of things that we have to do that are kind of scary because they're completely unknown. And I just wanted to begin by saying that our journey is pretty unique. The kinds of things that we have to accomplish and take care of and work out to get us from point A to point B takes courage every step of the way, takes inner strength every step of the way. And um, I just I just say you have to boil it all down to baby steps. You have to start where you are, take a baby step, and when you take that baby step, it probably will be the most courageous thing you've ever done at that point. But you've got to do that so you get the history and the courage to do the next right thing. And so, with that little bit of introduction, I know you all have a ton of stuff to share. So I should give it back to you, Ella.
I have to say, I can understand your when you got your ears pierced. I am sure.
I've got a real earring problem now. I've got more earrings than I'll ever wear.
Yeah, I've got now two piercings per ear, so it's okay. Jimmy, would you like to go?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, and good to see everybody.
We missed
So today we're talking about inner strength, and I think as we got the topic a couple hours ago, so I had time to think about it. I think inner strength is the byproduct of discipline.
Yep.
All things worthy to achieve anything worthy in life requires discipline. And so thinking about this, the greater our conviction, the greater the greater or the more belief we have in something, the power of belief. Okay, again, everything is a byproduct of everything else. Inner strength is a byproduct of discipline. Discipline is the byproduct of repeated actions committed outside of our comfort zone. It takes discipline to increase our comfort zone. So what Bobby was talking about, all these baby steps, our future self exists outside of our current comfort zone. So we have to grow to meet our future self. Otherwise, there's an absence of growth. So let's get back to this inner strength. So I'm looking at like watching the Super Bowl, and I think the Philadelphia Eagles won the game. Their conviction, their belief in the fact that they were going to win that game, gave them the strength to do so. So inner strength is a byproduct of the conviction or the belief that you have in something. If you believe in yourself, you believe in your journey, you trust your internal compass, inner strength will be a byproduct of that conviction. I read something years ago. Um, Bobby was talking about a minefield. In the absence of struggle, humans flounder. We are designed, hardwired to solve problems. Embrace the problems of life, because this is where our problem solving skills are developed. I love this saying, calm seas never produced a good boat captain. To navigate, if you can navigate a minefield, you can navigate any field. So when anybody, and I know trans people were um, confronted with very unique problems, and so there's very unique problem solving skills necessary. I was down in Key West a couple weeks ago with another trans girl, and one of the things you got to do when you're down there is go to Mallory Square and watch the sunset. And you never know who you're going to meet. So we ran into this group of girls that were down there for their birthday party, and one of the ladies, her her daughter is now trans, and they were saying they wanted to help her, they want to protect her. Uh, we want to protect her from all these people, and I'm like, if you do that, you're going to cripple her. There needs to be a certain amount of adversity in someone's life to develop the backbone and the wherewithal to not to become who we're going to become. It's like the trials and tribulations that a person has to go through to become who they are. All that is necessary to have the strength and the backbone to survive the person that we're going to become. Ella.
Yeah, absolutely. Now trust yourself. Listen to yourself. It was the first time. Always the first thing to do. Raji, your turn, girl.
My turn. Wow, inner strength. Well, as a transgender woman, I definitely have had to demonstrate inner strength. I think all of us, and we're not all the same. We all have our set of uh, unique circumstances. I guess I could say it like that. But it takes strength to stand up in your truth, especially in a world where a lot of people are saying, what are you doing? Like, what the freak are you doing? Like, you were born male in a man's world, and you dare to negate your maleness. Like, they say this is a man's world, and when you have male privilege, it's very powerful. And for us to negate that and stand in our truth and say, well, no, this isn't how I feel, it does take strength. For me, there's a few things that I believe are the reason why I'm still here and alive, and I didn't check out. I didn't like kill myself, commit suicide, what, because I had times along the way where I really felt like I couldn't go on anymore and I wanted to check out. And my spirituality is number one, not religion, but spirituality. It's a difference. You can be religious and spiritual, but you can also be spiritual without religion, and spirituality to me is like the ultimate, like plugging in to self and existence, and letting your internal navigation system guide you, because what's right for me may not be right for anyone else. Like, we all have our path. And so my spirituality, family and friends that have been in my corner, because I have lost some family that don't want to communicate with me anymore because of the way I am. But I have a lot of family that loves and support me. And I have a good circle of friends. And also getting therapy. That has been a great help. I always recommend therapy to anybody. It's nice to be able to sit down and talk about things to someone that's kind of like outside of your circle. They're not family, they're not particularly a friend, they're outside of the circle. And I find sometimes it's nice to get a perspective from someone that's like outside the circle, and getting the right therapist, because if you get the wrong one, they can send you down the rabbit hole. So you got to find that perfect match. Um, my inner strength, I think from the beginning, I've had it and I've demonstrated it in some way. Sometimes inner strength to me is being able to endure, just being able to like have the endurance to get through something that's really traumatic, or um, that's very devastating. And you may not have it in you to fight, but you'll have it in you to get through it. And I always say we pick and choose our battles. You know, there's moments where I've had to use my inner strength to stand up and, like, speak up for myself. And then there's moments where I say to myself, this isn't my fight. This isn't the time for me to like speak up. Just kind of get through it and live, survive. My therapist always tells me, did you live? Did you get through it? So sometimes you have to make the choice to just get through it so you can live to see another day. Um, but from little, I'm a multiracial transgender woman of color, and being a little multiracial little boy that was effeminate was very difficult because I looked very different than the other kids that I went to school with. So I was picked on for that. I was effeminate, so I wasn't like the other boys. I stood out because of that. And then that was the beginning of like a host of other differences. Like, we as human beings, we're always like looking at the differences instead of like looking at the things that unite us. But oftentimes, those are the things that cause hardship and pain and discrimination and injustice and et cetera, et cetera. And you need some sort of inner strength to get through that. And like I said, sometimes it's just having the endurance, being able to endure the situation to be able to make it through to the next day. Ella,
It's true. And
you're
every
on
day,
mute.
I'm on mute.
Oh, no, not now. I hear you.
No, and every day is a new day, and never forget that. Yes. So finding your inner strength is something which is, for me, it's really very important, because I have to say, I have been having a wonderful life in my life. I mean, I cannot deny that my life has been difficult. I have I've been blessed. I really have been blessed. I have been blessed with my transition as well, because I'm very well accepted in what I do. I didn't have to change my professional way. I carry on doing what I want, and people accept me as I am. And that is not a given. But every single time that I think about my inner strength, it always starts one thing: finding yourself. It always starts by those minutes where you think, you try to feel yourself. And I have to say, since I transitioned and since I went through those steps of finding really myself, life has been easier. Life makes sense for me now. Yes. I do lost my male privilege. Well, you know what?
Now you have your woman power.
Exactly. Now I have my woman power. And one thing about, being accepted, actually, to tell you the truth, it's really quite incredible. But the people which actually accepted the most are the women. Men sometimes don't. And, it's okay. Most of the time, actually, they do. But the first step for finding yourself, finding your strength, is finding yourself, is listen to the words which are inside of you. And then don't forget, there are many challenges in life. But you know what? A challenge is a way of growth. Every time you have a challenge, just think, thank you, challenge, because I'm growing, I'm getting better, I'm learning something. It's so important. It's to embrace your challenge, you embrace your fears, go on. It's not a fear, it's something that you are actually growing within yourself. And then self-care. Self-care. Don't let it lose. Grow. I my fellow friends or my friends told a lot about having a good counselor. I totally agree with that. And having a regular counselor, it doesn't mean every day. It means, once a month, every second week, or once every 3 months. I don't know. But have someone you can actually get out what is in your heart and tell. I've been having a couple of counselors. I still have one, which I've been having now for, I don't know, longer than I can remember. But that is, she knows me like in and out. And she sometimes, she sometimes even she knows what I've been going through without me telling her. Because just the way I am, for example, I had some tough days lately with some of my family issues, mainly with sickness with my son, and she kind of knew already when I opened my mouth that something is there. And I am very grateful for her. I am really very grateful for her. Great, really, really great person. But that is all part of self-esteem, self-care. And sometimes you need other people to reflect on yourself. And that's why you have them. And by the way, this is not only for transgender people, it's for everybody. It's always the same thing. Trust yourself, embrace difficulties, embrace what's going on in the life, and self-care. You know, um, go to the gym, which it is, self-care is not only physical, it's moral, and it's in all aspects of yourself. So this is my introduction to this absolutely fantastic theme. We probably are, it can be a very long theme, by the way. So I'll just leave everybody to talk about it. I just want to tell something. That moment when I went and get my ears pierced, like Bobby, I was scared to death. And then, I came as a male.
Mhm.
I said I want my ears pierced. Uh, the person which did that, no issue.
Right.
Absolutely no issue. So I had them pierced.
I think we can all relate to it. It was the same thing for me. Bobby, when you were talking about the fear and like taking the deep breath and I was thinking about me. And when I went and I hadn't transitioned yet, I was kind of like in the middle, like in between. But I was so freaking nervous. I was like, oh my God. And they're going to see me walking in and the attendant is she or he gonna want to do it? And oh, it was just, and then it happened so fast that when I was walking out, I'm like, oh my God, I did it. It's fun, you know.
But it carried on afterwards for me because I had to work and I was working and I was visiting customers as a male. It, I mean, the longer it got, the worse it got because my hair was getting longer, my feminine complexion was getting stronger, and some people. I even had once a meeting in a very special place where people were kind of looking at me and telling, you are a weirdo. But you know what I did in the beginning? Before I used to go and see my customer, I used to take the earrings away.
Take them out, yeah.
Just for 5 minutes because I didn't want to show the people. But the people could see the hole. So, they were kind of I mean, mainly women, they were kind of looking at what's going on here. But
Yeah, yeah.
after a while,
Okay. So look at where all of us are now. and I did the same thing with. I had my nipples pierced years ago, my belly button ring. Before I'd go to the beach, I'd take it all out. I'd take them all off. Now I'm, here. All of us have. Everyone starts somewhere, and
sure,
we look back at how silly and awkward maybe our behavior was for no reason at all,
absolutely.
based on uh, our perception of how others would perceive us. Meanwhile, no one's even paying attention. So we can all learn from that as we move forward in our journey. No one's. I think. Uh, I will say this with my experience. I went down to Key West with another trans girl, Marion. She's taller than me, and we're holding hands walking down Duval Street, and I'm like, Marion, we are walking, talking, living examples that all things are possible. So if anybody's watching us, it's the example that we are setting for others that if we can do this, you can do that.
Yeah.
And we're blazing the trail for you.
Yeah. It's absolutely true.
That's funny that you all would mention this because I'm bring up so many things. Let me back up just a little bit. I know that there are people all over the world watching this, and I just want to speak for a moment to the people that had the misfortune of growing up in a part of the world where conversion therapy and that toxic religion kind of stuff was just drilled into you. And that really does a number on people. In fact, I testify in state legislatures to oppose conversion therapy, to get it banned statewide. I was at an event Saturday night where the governor banned conversion therapy in our state, vetoed this measure. And I'm just very, very much into that because I've seen the damage that it does to people. And if you are somebody who has grown up in an environment where you have just been made to feel so worthless and inferior and sinful and abominable and all of that crap that goes along with conversion therapy. A couple of things that really helped me the most was, first of all, a lot of the stuff that we believe because somebody told us to believe it. Somebody who was an authority figure in our life told us to believe it. And the whole world, especially in the South and the Midwest, is full of people who just they believe this awful stuff about us because somebody told them to believe awful stuff about us. And it wasn't until I said, wait a minute, I need to get a little scholarly and academic about this and go through and dig out all this stuff and find out. And boy, was that an eye opener. And I really, I tell people all the time, my transition was God was the hardest part of my transition because it's very, very spiritual, like Raji is talking about. And so I really, really, really wanted to do that. So I talk about Eleanor Roosevelt probably every other time we get together because it was such a powerful idea that nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. And I can't tell you what a powerful idea that was to me. It was like, I know what I believe now, and the idea that someone would try to make me feel inferior. It's first of all, I got to ask, why in the world would you even do that to another human being? But it's like that was just such a powerful event. And the day that was probably the most powerful thing that ever happened to me was the day that I was never going to give that power away to anybody again. And now it's just nobody will succeed in making me feel like I'm less of a human being, less of a child of God than they are, less of a citizen. It's like, don't even try. You're not going to succeed. And and another thing that Eleanor Roosevelt, I learned from her was that we gain courage and strength every time we stop and look fear in the eye and tell ourselves we have done something like this before and we can do this again, and we gain more strength and more courage every time we really stop to look fear in the eye and say, I can do this. I can do this. and and that's really true. So when you talk about inner strength, it really is very much like a muscle, and the training and the kind of work and discipline that Jimmy's talking about all of the time. It's um, uh, we're laughing about getting our ears pierced, but today we got our ears pierced. That was a big deal. And but we had to do that so that we could have the courage and the inner strength to keep doing harder and harder things. And so the only other quote that I wanted to share with people is something I would tell my kids all the time. Uh, this is a Calvin Coolidge quote. It says, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not, nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent.
Hmm.
Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Um,
Yep.
persistence, anyhow, it goes on. But it was like persistence and determination alone were omnipotent. And when you talk to people that are, say, small business owners and successful and things like that, and I'm sure you've learned this yourself, Ella, it's like there's no substitute for persistence and
Oh, that's
determination. And
absolutely true. Yeah, and we really, but be careful. Persistence and following your fears are something which are really terrible, because the more you are persistent, because probably you're not having the success you're having straight away, the more fears you get. So the more you have to overcome them. And I think that is something very, very important in life, you know.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry
Ella,
I didn't.
we're at our 30 minutes, a little over right now.
Okay.
I think it's time for closing comments.
Okay. Yes, let's do that. Let's make the round. You want to go, Jimmy?
Sure. So I just wanted to summarize. Uh, we're talking about inner strength. So how do you achieve it? Repeated endurance to break through perceived barriers. It's as simple as that. Repeated endurance to break through perceived barriers. Ella.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bobby, you go
Yeah.
for your last comments.
um, I was thinking about another time where I had to find some inner strength real fast. And the way I had two full-time jobs when I transitioned. I worked in the public schools, uh, full of middle school and high school kids. And I'm a graduate school professor, and so I'm on a college campus just full of faculty members and grad students and all of this stuff. And you want a tough audience. Middle school girls are pretty tough. But I remember the first day, it was like I told everybody, this is the last time you're going to see Mr. Glass, because after the summer break and coming back at everybody set up. And so here it's at the first day of school, and I'm pulling into the parking lot, and I am going to hold my head high, and I'm going to look everybody in the eye, and I'm not going to even have a hint of self-consciousness or lack of confidence or embarrassment or shame or any of that stuff. It's like I am going to walk in that door with my head held high and look everybody in the eye, and I'm going to have the best day I've ever had. And that's exactly the way it happened. And so I don't want to pretend like any of this is easy, but you've got to make some decisions and then follow through, because you'll never know how much strength you really have until you test yourself like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Raji, your last comment.
Oh my God. So much good stuff today. Bobby, isn't it so wonderful to be at a point where you can do that? Like you can say, I'm not going to let anyone, steal my joy and make me feel inferior. And, I'm going to walk with my head up and I'm going to look people in the eye. And I think if everyone can get to that point, it's a wonderful thing. I think about the little kid that I was. We're just kind of like fumbling around in the world trying to figure it all out. So a lot of times we didn't know to tell ourselves what these folks were saying to us was their opinions, not what it really was for us. You know what I mean? So being able to live life and get to the point where you can do that is such a beautiful thing. And I think I'm there too. Like people can say whatever, and that's their opinion, but that doesn't have anything to do with me and what I believe. And so I'll just close with this. This show is for everybody, whether you're trans or non-trans, and you can apply it because like today's topic, no matter who you are, where you're from, what race you are, what religion you are, what class you are, wherever you are in the world, and whatever your circumstances are, you know, we all have challenges. We all have challenges and things to overcome and to work through. And so having this, the inner strength is so very important. And I would like to recommend to anyone that's watching, find the thing that fuels you, that gives you your inner strength. For me, it's been my activism. My activism is the thing that fuels me and really gives me the strength to be the Raji-licious that I am in the world. Like, be able to live my optimal life and, contribute to the world as I am in wonderful, uplifting ways. And so, yeah, whatever that might be, you find that and you tap into that. And, for me, it's not one thing. The activism is like a big thing, but, motivational speakers, getting up in the morning and starting my day listening to like positive messages. Bobby, what you did before you went in that day to school is you declared, you pre-paved the way your day was going to go. That's a powerful thing. We all can do that. We can all say, oh, I'm going to this meeting. This meeting is going to go in my favor, and people are going to see my light. And you can declare what it is you want, and our words and thoughts are powerful. And I think both Jimmy and Ella were talking about, the whole thing of self-care and, doing what you need to do for yourself. So, yes, I think this was an excellent show. I hope our viewers get something phenomenal out of it that they can use in their life. And on that note, I'll throw it back to Ella.
I gotta ask you something. Did you say Raji-licious? Did you say I love it. I love it. What a great
Raji-licious.
So on those notes, thank you very much for the wonderful words, girls. I mean, it's been really quite incredible, and yes, it is true. I don't know why we are in this earth, but you know what? We are in this earth for something.
Mhm.
And if you are a Hindu and you believe in reincarnation, we probably are here to learn something for the next life. So the idea is to get better. And the idea is to always reincarnate as a higher being than before.
Mm.
And for that, need challenges, need to go one step up. Probably you'll come one day. We don't need any challenge. But I don't think so. It's kind of
Mhm.
it's an evolution and it's a beautiful evolution. And thank God that God gave me all these challenges, whatever.
Well,
Uh,
Ella, when I leave, I'm going to be an angel. They're going to be calling me Angel Raji. Raji's the angel.
oh, I think I'm preparing to be a therapy dog when I come back.
but with those words, and I have to thank everybody which is listening to this show for being here. And it is, yes, we are trans, but we don't talk only for trans people, we talk for everybody. And thanks very much for being here. Namaste.
Love, peace,
Wonderful evening.
and blessings.
And
Namaste.
keep being wonderful and keep being great because that is what you have to do. Bye.
Yay!